Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. We will get started in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. If you've just entered the meeting, we will get started in just a few minutes. All right, let's get started. Good evening. Welcome to our first community meeting of the year. We have some very exciting updates for all of you tonight. For those of you who are new to our meetings, my name is Mia Fioravanti. I am Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs for the Bellwether District. I'm joined by a number of my colleagues tonight who will introduce themselves as we get a little bit further into the presentation. As a reminder on Q&A, we'll take questions throughout the presentation. If you have questions throughout the meeting, please enter them into the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We'll take as many questions as we can until about 7 p.m. this evening. Also, to ensure we get through as many questions as possible, we'll limit questions to one question per person. And if we don't get to your question, we'll post responses to both answered and any unanswered questions to our website following the meeting. Just as a reminder, recordings and presentations from all of our public meetings can be found at thebellwetherdistrict.com under the community section. And outside of our meetings, please always feel free to contact us via our web form located at thebellwetherdistrict.com/contact. We'd also love to hear your recommendations for topics we should cover at our remaining 2026 meetings. So as you can see here, our agenda tonight will cover development, environmental remediation, and community and workforce development updates. We'll also provide some recent news regarding leasing activities. So looking forward to sharing more with you this evening. Before we get started, we always want to sort of ground our discussion in how the team here at the Bellwether District and this project are working to benefit the city of Philadelphia and the surrounding region over the next decade as we're redeveloping the site. We anticipate more than a $4 billion private investment in the redevelopment of the site, which will lead to a significant amount of tax revenue for both the city and Commonwealth. We're continuing to invest in our neighboring communities, particularly in South and Southwest Philly. I'll share a few highlights. We've employed 178 middle and high school interns to date, established a new community-led community investment fund, and contributed 2.7 million and counting in Philadelphia-focused community and workforce development initiative funding. There will be a huge economic benefit to the city and surrounding region as a result of the project. We're expecting a combined 45,000 construction and permanent jobs to be created over the next 10 to 15 years. And as a point of comparison, the former site employed a little over 1,000 people as it was winding down operations. And importantly, we're making a significant investment in reconnecting the site to the neighboring street grid. We're making investments in both on-site and off-site infrastructure, and we're also working to develop the site in an environmentally sustainable way. We anticipate the planting of over 1,000 trees, and 1,000 of those trees have been planted today. And all of our buildings are being built to LEED certifiable standards and will be solar ready. Sharing a little bit about our current schedule. So we've completed the decommissioning and demolition of the former site, and that work was really wrapped up in mid-2024. Just by the former refinery being removed, the city's Office of Sustainability reported a 16% reduction in carbon emissions citywide. As you'll hear shortly, environmental remediation is ongoing, and we've excitedly begun construction on both our industrial and innovation campuses. On the industrial campus, today we have two speculative buildings, which are actively being shown to potential tenants. And we're prepping for vertical construction on behalf of our first tenant and their new facility, which will begin in the second quarter of this year. As we'll share more about, we've just secured our first innovation campus tenant as well, which you'll hear more about in a little bit. We also expect to start vertical construction on the innovation campus in Q2 of this year. And last, as you see here, our community engagement and workforce development efforts are ongoing. So before I turn things over to my colleague Amelia, and again, for those of you who are new to our meetings, sharing a little bit more about our overall master plan for the campus. We're developing two sort of distinct campuses. The 750 acres to the south is focused on logistics tenants and uses, and the 250 acres to the north, which is closest in proximity to Pennovation and University City, is focused on life science and innovation users. And so with that, I will turn things over to my colleague Amelia.
All right. Hi, everyone. As you can probably tell, I am in my car. I am not driving. Do not worry. I'm pulled over. I just hit some traffic and wasn't able to get to my destination in order to be on my desktop with the beautiful background like Mia has. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for being here. Really exciting day. Literally, this day of all days is very exciting to have this meeting because we've got some great updates. But before I get to today's fresh news, I do want to mention a really exciting announcement that we had in actually December of last year. Our first tenant for the Bellwether District was announced, I think, early, like the first week of December. The company is named DrinkPack, as you can see in the upper left corner of the slide. DrinkPack is a premier manufacturer of canned beverages in North America. They are a third-party canning company, so they do canning operations for a lot of brands that you might have heard of: Poppy, Olipop, Arizona Iced Tea, a bunch of others, kind of all the stuff that you see on Instagram. I like to say they do a lot of cool brands. And this is their flagship East Coast location that'll be here at the Bellwether District. So they're based out of California. They have a second facility that's under construction in Texas, and then this will be their first East Coast location. So, this really shows as proof of concept, something we've been trying that, is really part of our business plan at the Bellwether District, was just to bring in new companies that aren't currently located in Philadelphia and in most cases in Pennsylvania at all, and establish a presence here for the first time, really bringing new economic activity and new economic jobs rather than just kind of moving things around. As the slide says, the project will create an anticipated 174 permanent jobs in the first several years of operations. That could grow over time. And we currently have construction underway. You might see this if you're by the 26th and Penrose intersection driving by the site. That is the building you see currently, kind of foundation being dug. You'll start to see walls going up soon. And we plan to have that building substantially complete in April of next year. Go to the next slide. And then this is today's hot off the press. We just put our press release out this morning. Well, actually, Governor Shapiro put a press release out this morning, and we put one out a little later. We have announced today our first tenant for the Innovation Campus, which, as Mia said, that is the part of the campus that is north of Passyunk, focused on life sciences and innovation users, really leveraging the proximity to University City and Philadelphia's amazing academic, R&D, and medical practitioner community. TerraPower Isotopes is the name of the company. They go by TPI for short, which is a lot easier to say. And this company is another really cutting edge firm that produces ingredients for advanced cancer treatment. They produce the ingredients. They're not a pharmaceutical company, so you won't see their brand name on any type of a treatment that would be administered to a patient. They're kind of further up the supply chain. They would ultimately be producing this ingredient, this technology they produce that would then be used by a pharmaceutical company to produce the actual treatment administered to patients. The type of medicine they do is, widely seen as the next frontier in advanced cancer medication, which is, really amazing for us to see happening here at the Bellwether District. The project will create about 225 permanent jobs over the next 3 years. Again, that could also grow with time. And this building, you see it's really cool looking. You see the rendering there, and you can see on the right-hand side where exactly on the site it will be located. So right along 76. The construction will start imminently, very soon, mid 2026, and we expect substantial completion in 2027. And I have the information from the company that they expect operations to really be kind of underway as of 2029. So there'll be a bit of a ramp up period to get the building fully operational in the interim. There is, if you Google this, you'll probably see some news because again, it just came out today. There is a press release linked on our website that you can read a little bit more about it. But we're really excited to be able to bring another company that is new to Philadelphia. There are other facilities currently in Everett, Washington State. So bring another new company to the region, create new jobs, and bring new economic activity to Philly and to Southeast Pennsylvania. I'll turn it back over to you, Mia.
Great, thank you, Amelia. And I will turn things over to my colleague Joe Calalori from our industrial development team.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's meeting. As Mia stated, my name is Joe Calalori, project manager representing the industrial development team, focused on the horizontal development program here at the Bellwether District. As you can see, the industrial campus is represented by about 700 acres, bounded by the Passyunk Avenue Bridge to our north, 26th Street to our east, and the Schuylkill River to our west and south. The major progress updates regarding the mass earthwork Phase 1 project, as illustrated to the right and outlined in red, represents the areas in blue, which are substantially complete. It's about 450 acres in total that have been mass graded, and portions of these blue areas are entering vertical development. The unshaded areas represent our mass earthwork Phase 2, which have had some early, excuse me, some early action work, and they are substantially complete as of the end of this year. With our next steps or anticipated milestone dates would be to have these areas unshaded substantially complete by the end of this year. Thank you. These images represent some of the progress over the year, with the top left image representing parcel C2 facing north. The image in the top right represents the final stages of mass earthwork before commencing vertical development for building 4 or drink pack as described by Amelia. And the image in the bottom left and right represent the parcel G for our enabling work in advance of mass grading. Next slide. Regarding the infrastructure progress, the illustration to the right differentiates between our on-site and off-site improvements for roadway and utilities. So for the on-site roadways represented in red, we have substantially completed about 5,400 linear foot of roadway, along with the street lighting, natural gas relocations, and traffic signal installations. In blue represents our off-site improvements, which is about 3,100 feet of roadway along 26th Street for a full depth widening, which included the traffic signal installations at the intersection of 26 and Hartranft and 26 and Penrose. In the spring, we will begin construction activities to support the vertical development of Building 4, which includes a portion of infrastructure Phase 2, Francis Harper Drive South. Next slide. Yep. These images represent the improvements along 26th Street. The top left is looking north, along with the traffic signal installations for 26 and Penrose, as well as 26 and Hartranft. Next slide. As you can see in the top right, that represents our construction progress for the traffic signal installation of 26 and Hartranft. Regarding the industrial campus on-site infrastructure, these images show a conceptual rendering to the left, as well as the existing conditions of the initial phase of on-site roadway, with building 1 and building 2 looking north. Next slide. As Mia stated earlier, building 1 represents a 325,000 square foot speculative building with 40-foot clear height represented in the bottom left image, as well as the bottom right image showing the eastern face, which is facing 26th Street. Next slide. These images represent the existing conditions of Building 2's progress, with the conceptual rendering in the top left and the actual image in the top right. Building 2 represents a 727,000 square foot industrial warehouse space, also with a 40-foot clear height, with the image in the bottom right, an aerial image looking southeast. As Mia stated earlier, Building 4 represents our first build-to-suit with a premier manufacturer of canned beverages, drink pack. And in the beginning parts of this winter and early spring, construction activities have started on the 1.4 million square foot industrial warehouse space, with the early action construction activities including interior footings, perimeter footings, and deep utility installations, along with the initial earthwork activities, creating some of the stormwater basins and initial dock wall cutbacks. Next slide. Moving on to the Innovation Campus, I will send it back to Mia. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I'll turn it over to Amanda.
Hi, my name is Amanda Mazey. I'm the Director of Mixed Use, and I'll give everyone a brief overview on the Innovation Campus. Next slide, please. So this first slide zooms into our Innovation Campus master plan. Our total site is approximately 250 acres, and we're currently planning 3 to 4 million square feet at full build out. Our campus is located north of Passyunk Avenue, south of University City and Pennovation, with direct access up 34th Street. 34th Street actually dead ends at our campus. And it's situated directly between the Schuylkill River and I-76. Right now, we are focused on our phase 1 plan, which is approximately 40 acres and about 500,000 square feet in 3 buildings. We chose this first phase because it's closest to existing infrastructure. It's right next to 76. Next phase, next slide. And as you heard from both Mia and Amelia earlier, we are very excited to welcome our first tenant, TPI, and we look forward to sharing more with you at a future meeting.
Everyone, I'll take it from here. I'm Amy Pacone, Senior Remediation Manager on the environmental team. Next slide, please. So when discussing the environmental work at our site, it's important to know that there are two responsible parties. Sunoco, also known as Evergreen, is responsible for contamination from releases that occurred prior to September 2012. That date is significant because that is when they sold the site to PES. Evergreen has their own website where they post their environmental reports, and they also hold their own public meetings to provide updates on their progress. When we, HRP, acquired the site in 2020, we took on the environmental responsibilities of PES. So that's why HRP is responsible for cleaning up releases that occurred after September 2012. We also are responsible for sampling beneath the above ground storage tanks, managing soil during redevelopment, and assessing vapor intrusion in our new buildings, which I will cover in my slides. Next slide, please. So there were over 100 above ground storage tanks, or ASTs, that we needed to sample under and around after demolition. We divided them into 9 tank groups for sampling and reporting purposes. So far, we've achieved regulatory closure for 6 of those tank groups, shaded gray on the figure. For the other 3, we've completed sampling and submitted reports to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, or PADEP. We are currently waiting for PADEP to either approve those reports or provide comments for us to address. Our reports and letters from PADEP are available on our website under Community, Environmental, and Tank Closure. Next slide, please. So this figure shows our distinct post-2012 release areas that have been entered into the Act 2 program, which is the cleanup program under PADEP. Again, we, HRP/Bellwether District Holdings, do not have one site-wide case under Act 2. We are responsible for these 12 discrete release areas. Reports and regulatory correspondence are available on our website under Community, Environmental, and Remediation. As you can hopefully see in this figure, 5 of the 12 areas have achieved regulatory closure, which are the light gray ones, and the other 7 are open and shown in white. And if you go to the next slide, please. This table shows a little more detail for those 7 open Act 2 cases that we're responsible for. And if you look in the last column on the right, you'll see that we are at the reporting stage for 5 of the 7 areas, and we are at the fieldwork and data evaluation stage for the other 2. Next slide. So for soil movement, we have a soil management plan, which was approved by PADEP in 2020 and is available on our website under Community, Environmental, and Soil Management. That document outlines our plan to collect 1 sample per 2,000 cubic yards of soil prior to soil movement, categorize that given cell based on analytical data, and then handle that soil appropriately during earthwork. The majority of that soil sampling is done, and the data are summarized in Soil Management Plan addenda, which are available on our website. We also have an environmental consulting company who's out here every day in Philly overseeing the earthwork to make sure the cells are placed in accordance with our soil management plan. After the soil movement is done on a given lot, we will collect additional soil samples of the new surface we've created, as well as in any landscaped or unpaved areas. We will then prepare an environmental construction completion report for each lot, which will include all of that data. We're currently wrapping up the first of those reports, which will be for building 1, and we anticipate submitting that to PADEP in the next few weeks, and we will then post it on our website. Next slide, please. So in addition to covering the soil movement that I just mentioned on the previous slide, that environmental construction completion report will also cover vapor intrusion. If you're not familiar, vapor intrusion is when vapors from, for example, volatile organic compounds and groundwater contamination make their way through the soil and into buildings, which we don't want to happen. So one option is for a building to be constructed with a vapor barrier to prevent vapors from entering the building, which is what's shown on the right. And another option is shown on the left is a vapor intrusion mitigation system, which is when you create a preferential pathway under the building and then funnel those vapors out of the building. We installed mitigation systems in our first 2 buildings. And again, details about the systems and the associated data will be included in the forthcoming environmental construction completion report for each building. The report for building 1 should be posted in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. And then we will share more details about the report at our next public meeting in June. Next slide, please. Finally, I'll touch on our perimeter air monitoring. We currently monitor for dust and total volatile organic compounds. We monitor continuously and receive alerts when concentrations are elevated so we can take action in real time. We started this monitoring when we began earthwork in each portion of the site. So that was May 2023 in the industrial campus, which are the blue dots in the southern part of the site, and April 2024 in the innovation campus, which are the green dots in the northern portion of the site. Our air monitoring plan and our monthly reports summarizing the data are available on our website under Community, Environmental, and Air Monitoring. And also, you can see one red dot in the southwest part of our site. That's where we collect a weekly benzene sample as part of the Thrive Air Community Air Monitoring Project. We started sampling at that red dot in February 2024. We send weekly analytical reports to our contacts at Thrive Air, and they maintain the website displaying the data from that red dot, as well as locations throughout the community. If you're interested, I encourage you to check out their website, which is thriveairphilly.com. And now I'll hand it back to Mia.
Great. Thank you, Amy. So I will wrap up tonight's presentation by sharing an update on our community and workforce development initiatives. Since our last meeting, this photo was taken at our on-site community site tours from this past fall, which we'll do again this year and encourage you to participate in. Next slide. So sharing a few images of what our team has been up to since our last community meeting. So some highlights: we participated in the City of Philadelphia's annual MLK volunteer event, which is the largest King Day event in the nation. Our team also worked with our former parent company, Hilco Global, to distribute coats to South and Southwest Philadelphia families. And our team continues to participate in activities that give young people exposure to our project and careers in the construction and real estate industries. Here you'll see our colleague Christina participating in the school district's Skills USA conference. We also hosted a great group of engineering CTE students on site from Universal on Reed Charter School for information about our project and a site tour. The Bellwether District annually sponsors and partners with all of the members of the Diverse Chambers Coalition, including the African American Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Chamber of Commerce, and the Independence Business Alliance, with an eye towards engaging those organizations' members in the project and opportunities at the Bellwether District. Most recently, just want to highlight that our colleague Harold Ortega, and actually he's on one of these classes this evening, which is why he wasn't able to join us, has been leading classes for the Hispanic Chambers Build Latino program. And that is the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce's program focused on helping small Latino-owned construction businesses build capacity. So really excited to, again, not only financially support the chamber's work, but also providing volunteer support as well. And last, I just want to be sure to plug our paid summer internship program for high school students, which we do every summer. It's a highlight of our team's year. Positions are available for rising juniors and seniors in high school, with a focus on applicants from South and Southwest Philadelphia. The application is now open. If you or someone you know is interested in applying, encourage you to email me or Christina. Our contact information is on the screen. You can also contact us via the web form on our website. Okay. And here is my information. Encourage you to reach out or again, use our web form on the website to share any additional comments or feedback following the meeting. And feel free to take this presentation down as we start Q&A. So heading to our first question, we had a question around the 225 jobs that were mentioned as part of the new TPI project and whether or not they were construction jobs. Those 225 jobs that were mentioned are the permanent jobs that will be created by the TPI project. We're anticipating 28,000 construction jobs in total that will be generated as a result of the project outside of the permanent jobs, obviously, that will also be created by our tenants. Okay, next question. When do you expect the traffic signal will be operational at 26 and Hartranft? I'm going to call on my colleague Joe to answer that.
Thanks, Mia. The intersection of 26 and Hartranft, we are coordinating with the Philadelphia Streets Department as well as PennDOT regarding the timing and we will be considering the ongoing tenant needs of the building for tenant. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Going to our next question. We have a question about the possibility of fossil fuel power plant being on the site. Amelia, can I call on you to answer that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Again, and by the way, I realized I did not introduce myself at the beginning when I spoke last, which we were supposed to do. So I was not following the rules. I'm Amelia Alcivar. Some of you know me. I'm the EVP of Corporate Affairs for HRP Group. And again, happy to be here. To the question, I know there's obviously a lot of discussion about power needs sort of in general right now. The Bellwether District, we are very conscious of the fact that more and more users in the manufacturing space, the technology space, the life sciences space need significant power for their operations, because there's increased, even though there's thousands of permanent jobs being created, there is increased complexity and mechanization in many of these operations. So we are working to ensure that the Bellwether District has sufficient power supply to supply the needs of our current and future tenants. Right now, we are focused on working with PECO, which is the electric utility provider that I'm sure many of you who live in the area know well, to provide that supply to the site. So there is some power available now. We are working to see what that power schedule can be in the years and decades to come. Again, working hand in glove with the public utility, PECO. They're great partners, and we're going through the standard regulatory process for that electric power delivery to the site. So that's the primary source of power that we anticipate at the Bellwether District. I do want to say something's important, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation. We are building a huge amount of solar-ready rooftops. Our estimates are in the neighborhood of 6 million total square feet that will be solar, potential to have solar panels, which is a lot. So we do anticipate significant solar power being generated on site. And there's a couple of different ways that could play out. That could either go to directly power those buildings, or it could go back into the grid. And that will depend on some of the tenant preferences and the final, again, just continued discussions with PECO, with the electric utility, once that solar power is fully realized and comes online. But that is, we think that will be a net contributor to both the power of the site and potential contributor to the grid. Regarding the question about additional power generation being built on site, there are not plans for a traditional power plant to be built on site, which I think is what the question is getting at. We do, though, continue to explore ways to generate power renewably through solar. And we've also participated in conversations around things like the regional hydrogen hub project that was being discussed. I think, unfortunately, lost federal funding, but was a Philadelphia and regional wide effort back in 2024. We were part of those conversations, and continue to support any efforts by the city and state to bring additional renewable power supply. But we are, to summarize, we are currently working closely with PECO, who provides current power to the site, to ensure that our power needs are met. And then we are focused on building out that solar ready capacity on our rooftops, so we'll be able to have significant solar power on the site in the future. Thanks for the question.
Great. Thank you, Amelia. We have a question. How does a company become a preferred vendor for Bellwether? So if you are interested in contracting opportunities with the Bellwether District, please visit our website, thebellwetherdistrict.com. There, within our contact form, there is a Work With Us tab. send us your information as well as your company's information and capabilities. And we will make sure that you're positioned for any contracting opportunities either with HRP directly or with one of our general contractor partners. Next question about the potential for a data center tenant at the Bellwether District. Amelia, can I ask you to respond to that one?
Sure, absolutely. I'm just going to say, I will say this every meeting when there's questions about prospective tenants of any kind, that our policy is that we don't talk about specific prospective tenants until and unless they are, ready. We're ready to announce them, as we did today with TerraPower Isotopes. So my comments are general rather than specific. Bellwether District, we are focused on, as we've kind of always said in our business plan, manufacturing, logistics, life sciences, and technology tenants. And that is the space, I think our first two tenants are one manufacturing in the consumer product space and one manufacturing in the life sciences space. So we're already sort of realizing that plan and very much in line with the uses that we've anticipated for the site. As we continue to talk to bring on additional tenants, we will absolutely have that be a feature of both our quarterly meetings and put out that information as we did today on our website and social media. But I really can't speak to any specific prospective tenant in this context because those conversations would just be premature. So appreciate the question, and stay tuned in this space for additional tenants as we bring them onto the site.
Thank you, Amelia. We have another question about the 28,000 estimated construction jobs. The answer is the 28,000 figure is for our estimated construction jobs for the project as a whole. All right, and just as a reminder for those who are asking multiple questions in the chat, we're going to stick to one question per person, and then we will reply to all questions that are submitted following the meeting in writing. Okay, seeing no more questions, we will conclude this evening's meeting. We want to thank everyone for their participation tonight, and look forward to seeing you all at our next meeting in June. Thanks and have a good evening.